30. Now I will presentation material on central banking. First material is topic and meaning. A central bank is a financial institution given prelates control over the production and distribution of money and credit for a nation or a group of nations. In modern economies, the central bank is usually responsible for the formulation monetary policy and regulation of member banks. Central banks in, are inherently non-market-based, often or even anti-competitive institutions. Although some are nationalist, many central banks are not government agencies and so are often thought and being politically independent. However, even if a central bank is not legally owned by government, its privileges are established and protected by law. The, the critical feature of a central bank is distinguishing it from other banks it is its legal monopoly status, which gives in the privilege to issue banknotes and cash. Private commercial banks are only permitted to issue liability, such as taking deposit. Although their responsibilities range little depending on the country, central banks' duties and the jurisdiction for their extension usually fall into their three areas. First, central banks control and manipulate the national money supply, issuing currency and setting interest rates on loans and bonds. Typically, central banks raise interest rates to slow growth and offset inflation. They lower them to support growth, industrial activity, and consumer spending. In this way, they manage monetary policy to guide the country's economy and achieve economic goals such as full employment.
Hi guys, my name is Margarita Jaja. I will explain the material of central bank, slide 6 to 8. Second, they regulate member banks through capital requirements, reserve requirements, or which dictate how much banks can lend to customers and how much cash they must keep on hand, and deposit guarantees, among other tools. They also provide loans and services for nations' banks and its government and manage foreign exchange reserves. Finally, central banks also act as an emergency lender to distressed commercial banks and other institutions and sometimes even a government. By purchasing government debt obligations, for example, the central banks provides a politically attractive alternative to taxation when a government needs to increase revenue. Function. A central bank is an integral part of financial and economic system. They are usually owned by the government and given certain functions to fulfill. These include printing money, operating monetary policy, the lender of a last resort, and ensuring the stability of financial system. The function and benefits of central bank. 1. Issue money. 2. Lender of last resort commercial bank.
Hi guys, I'm Nilviana Mary would like a present of paper in the central bank on slide 9, 10, and 11. I will mention some of the functions of the central bank, and for an explanation you can see it on the slide. 3. Lender of leverage to government. 4. Target low inflation. 5. Target growth in employment. 6. Operates monetary policy or interest rates. 7. Unconventional monetary policy. The central bank may also use the other monetary instrument to achieve macroeconomic target. For example, in a liquidity trap level, interest rates may be insufficient to both spending and economic growth. In this situation, the central bank may resort to a conventional monetary policy such quantitative easing. This involves creating money and use this money to buy bonds. The aims of quantitative easing to reduce interest rates and boost bank lending. 8. Ensure stability of financial system. For example, to regulate bank lending and financial derivative. The function aims to explain how the central banks work in serving the needs to the public. Some of the criteria of the central bank. 1. Politically independence. 2. Performance-oriented corporate leadership. 3. Superior credit policy and skill. 4. Differentiated and efficiency distribution. 5. Cost efficiency and information technology.
My name is Irene Tana. I will continue my presentation from my friend Delphina Mary. Here I will discuss 2 points. The first dimension some of the criteria contained in the bank. The center point and the second point relate to the topic in the example and the situation. Well, let's get to first point. Here I found 5 central bank criteria, namely 1. Politically independent. 2. Performance-oriented corporate leadership. 3. Superior credit policies and skills. 4. Differentiated and efficient distribution. And 5. Cost-efficient processes and information technology. Second point, relate the topic into real example and situation. In the real situation, the central banking has a responsibility for monetary policies in an area of the country. The central bank has a role in maintaining the stability of the price of value of the currency prevailing in the country, which is known as inflation. For example, if in Indonesia there is a slump in inflation which causes in the circulation of money not smooth, it is the duty of the central banking to find the right way to deal with the problem of inflation so that a inflation rate can be controlled, and the central banking must also optimize the economy by controlling the balance of money in circulation. Apart from that, a central bank can monetary policy by easing of tightening the money supply and availability of credit. Central banks seek to keep a nation's economy on an even keel. The central bank also as an emergency lender to distressed commercial banks and other institutions and sometimes even government. For example, the central banks provides a politically attractive alternative to taxation when a government needs to increase revenue. The next material will discussed by friend by my friend Vanessa. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Tomata. I'm from Group 2. I'm going to continue the presentation of my friends Irene Etano. Find the cases related to the topic. 1. Case related to the central bank and financial institution. 2. Cases related to the central bank and the financial market. 3. Cases related to the central bank and the payment system. 4. Cases related to the central bank with market psychology. 5. Cases related to the central bank and the real sector. Of the 5 cases above have a close relationship with the central bank. These 5 cases will continue and increase if the condition of the bank globally is unstable. Next question lead in: what are the functional of the central bank? The functional of a central bank is: 1. Legitimate money issues to meet community needs. 2. Formulating and implementing monetary policy. 3. Providers of banking service and managing government loans. 4. Custodian from commercial bank reserves and assistant for final settlement of interbank clearing transaction. 5. Guardian of the integrity of the financial system and in some economic situation also acts as an emergency lender of last resort and supervisor of banking prudence. 6. Implementing government policies in the field of exchange rates and serving as custodian of the country's turning exchange reserves as well as assisting. So is my presentation.
Hello guys, introduce my name Putri Natasha Nararoga from Group 2. I'm going to give a presentation on slide 18 and 19. 1. Formulating and implementing policies to promote economic growth in a country, especially in the following countries. In addition, the centered Indonesia often English need to strengthen economic development. 2. Government advisors regarding economic policies because they are considered to have expertise in matters relating to the economic and financial fields. 3. Financial institutions participating in international monetary regulatory cooperation. 4. Financial institutions that have a close relationship with the government, making it possible to obtain other tasks such as providing banking service to the public and providing protection for customers. Answer: the action of the central bank can affect individuals and companies. Nominally, the policies carried out by the central bank will affect the economy, and the economy will affect individuals and companies. Thank you for watching my presentation and happy watching the presentation on the next slide.
Hello guys, my name is Octaviana. I'm from Group 2 and I will present the presentation on slide 20 and 21st. Discussion. Which of the following would you expect a central bank to do? Mark them. A is always, S is sometimes, or N is never. Okay, let's go to number 1. Act as banker to the government and the commercial banks. Report from Merdeka.com about the goals and function of the central banks. It is explained that the central banks has responsibility of monetary policy in a region. So, at this point, we mark it with an A. In the number 2, attempt to influence the exchange rate. According to law number 3 of the 2005, the central bank is a state institution that has authority to use legal payment instruments from a country, formulate and implement monetary policy, regulate and maintain the smooth operation of the payment system, regulate and supervise banking, and function as a leader of the last resort. In number 3, clear checklists between commercial banks. The third, we always make it with A, which means it is always done by the banks. Okay, in number 4, decide the country's minimum interest rate. The fourth is also likewise we make it with A because it means always done by the banks. Okay, in number 5, decide all country interest rate. The 5, it all still with A, which means it is always done by the bank. In number 6, use bank notes. The 6, we mark it with S, which means sometimes done by banks. In 7, issue securities for companies. The 7, it is the same as the bank sometimes does it. Issue securities for the government. The 8, we mark it with A, which means the bank always does that. In the 9, keep minimum deposit of commercial banks reserves. The 9th, it is always done by the banks and we mark it with A. In number 10, lend money to bank the full city. In the 10th number, we mark it with A, which means always. In number 11, lend money small business maintain financial stability. The 11th number, we mark it with N, which means never done by the bank. In number 12, manage reserves of gold and foreign currencies. The 12th number, we mark it with S, which means that sometimes the bank does that. In number 13, manage the assets of wealthy individuals. The 13th, we mark it with an N, which means the bank never does that. In 14, publish monetary and banking statistics. The 14th, we mark it with S, which means sometimes done by the bank. Okay, in the last number, supervise the banking system. And in the last number, we mark it with N, which means it's not done by the bank. That was the presentation from me and my friend from group 2. I present my friends in group 2 to say a lot of thanks to the lectures in English, to all who watched the video, and also apologize
if our presentation is far from perfect. We hope that our presentation will be useful. Thank you.